Hello again children, and welcome to another maths lesson. In our maths lesson last time we were learning how to make a number 10 times greater, multiplying by 10. We're going to do the inverse today, the opposite. The opposite of multiplying by 10 is dividing by 10. Dividing by 10 means that we're splitting something into 10 equal parts, or we're finding a tenth of something, we're making it 10 times smaller. So if we look at our place value grid again and our base 10, if we start off with our thousands this time, if I was to divide that 1,000 into 10 equal parts, we know 10 hundredths fit into 1,000. So a tenth of 1,000 is 100. 100 is 10 times smaller than 1,000. If we wanted to do the same with 100, if I wanted to divide that into 10 equal parts, we've learned that 10 tens is the same as 100. So if we make 100 10 times smaller, dividing it by 10, it becomes a 10. And finally, if we wanted to make a 10 times smaller, we need to divide it into 10 equal parts. And we've learned that 10 ones is equivalent to 10. So a tenth of 10 is 1. 10 divided by 10 is 1. Have you noticed what's happening this time? When we made things 10 times greater, multiplied by 10, the digits moved one place to the left. This time, when we want to make things 10 times smaller, it moves one space to the right. Let's move on to some calculations now, and I'll show you how to divide numbers by 10. Let's look at the first calculation, 50 divided by 10. We're going to be making 50 10 times smaller. So let's make 50 in our place value chart. When we looked at our base 10, we learned that when the digits get 10 times smaller, they move one space to the right. So let's do that then. Oh dear, the 0 hasn't got anywhere to go. It hasn't got a value at the moment, so we can just remove it. And we're just left with 5 ones. 50 divided by 10 leaves us with a quotient of 5. 5 is 10 times smaller than 50. The next calculation is 230 divided by 10. So let's make 230 in our grid. And I wonder whether you can predict what you think the quotient is going to be. Remember, all of the digits need to move one space to the right to be getting 10 times smaller. So the 200 will become 2 tens, the 3 tens will become 3 ones. We can't have two digits together. The 0 doesn't have a value, so we're just going to remove it, and we're left with a quotient of 23. 23 is 10 times smaller than 230. So 230 divided by 10 gives us a quotient of 23. And the next one, 490 divided by 10. We're going to make 490 10 times smaller. Have a think. What do you think the quotient's going to be? That's right. Did you get 49? If we move all of the digits one space to the right, getting 10 times smaller, the 0 comes away, and we're left with 49. 49 divided by 490 divided by 10 is 49. Let's divide a 4-digit number by 10. So we've got 6,200, and we're going to make that 10 times smaller. Can you remember, when we make something 10 times smaller, when we divide by 10, each digit moves one space to the right. So the 6,000 becomes 600, the 200s become 2 tens, this 0 moves into the ones, And because this isn't worth anything, doesn't have a value, we can remove that. So 6,200 divided by 10, we have a quotient of 620. And the final one together is 8,030 divided by 10. I bet you're getting an expert at this now. So remember, to make the number 10 times smaller, each digit will move one space to the right. Watch now. Hasn't got a value, so we can remove that altogether, and we're left with a quotient of 803. And the final activity to help us with this learning is, as yesterday, what's gone wrong? I'd like you to pause the video now and have a look at these 4 equations here. See if you can work out what you think the correct quotient should be. When you've worked it out, have a look at these quotients and see if you can work out what went wrong. Pause the video now. Okay, let's start off with our first one. 20 divided by 10. What did you think the quotient should be? What's 20 10 times smaller? I imagine you all knew to move the 2 10s into the 1s and the 0 can come away. You got a quotient of 2. What happened here? To have a quotient of 20, I wonder if you worked out that this person had in fact multiplied by 10, had made it 10 times greater. So we need to remember when we divide, the quotient gets smaller, gets less. Moving on to the next one, 180 divided by 10. What was your quotient? What is a tenth of 180? Did you get 18? If you did, that's correct. What did this person do? They've still got a 3-digit number. Did you spot that they just swapped the 0 and they ate around? That's not what happens when we divide by 10. Moving on to the next one, 320 made 10 times smaller. What did you get? Did you get a quotient of 32? That's the correct answer. This person got a quotient of 3. So they divided it again, but they got rid of the 2 as well. Well, you can't do that if this is worth something. We'll find out what we do about that later on in year 4. And the final one is 5,470 divided by 10. What was your quotient? If you move all of the digits one space to the right and remove the 0, your quotient should have been 547. Look at this quotient here. It's still a 4-digit number. But instead of 5,470, we've now got 5,460. What did they do? That's right, they subtracted a 10 to make 5,460. That's not the same as making a number 10 times smaller or dividing by 10. Look at your home learning sheet to see what your learning is going to be now. Use your place value grid if you would find it helpful and work really hard as always. Bye bye.